I never really saw anybody in media that was like, oh, like being a chef is something to be proud of. Being a chef is something that you can actually succeed in, and be great, be great, be great.
All right, guys, welcome to 1,000 Days podcast. I am here with my co-host Patrick and Nicole. Pat and
I'm Nicole.
Nicole.
I mean,
just making sure
it's a process of deduction. It's kind of
sure we got the right names going on.
12 episodes in.
12 episodes in. It's
episode
cool.
12.
Episode 12. This episode, we're going to be talking about sacrifice. Sacrifice. So, in business, there is a big word called sacrifice that we all have to do. It's I think it gets glossed over a lot of times when we say it because we don't. We've gotten to a lot of metaphysical sacrifices. So a lot of times we feel like it's not as a big of a deal as what the word is, right? Mm-hmm. So here I want to just kind of discuss like really what sacrifice is, like the definition in business, and really what you have to sacrifice as a business owner. For me, I know this past week we were really, kind of talking about that just on a personal level about sacrificing and saying that, we want X amount of dollars. We want these amount of dollars to be hitting the bank account every week, all of that. But nevertheless, if you want X amount of dollars, you're going to have X amount of time. And you can't say, okay, I want time to go and spend with your family, with your friends, vacationing, doing different things, having time off, having relaxation time, being able to buy certain things that you may want to buy and spend a certain amount of money, but then also want the other side too. It's, again, we've all heard the term of, it's kind of the two sides of the same coin. And I really think that's akin to what sacrifice is. It's like, when you're on the head side, it's like, all right, well, you can't have what's on the tail side as well. You gotta kind of pick one. The coin can't be on both sides at the same time. And so here, I just kind of want to see you guys' opinion on like really what is sacrifice for you guys, and how do you even say cope with it, of knowing that, hey, if I'm spending time here, I'm not at home, or I'm not spending time with my kids or my significant other, or I'm not, getting time with my friends or things like that, knowing that you sacrifice that time to then get whatever amount of success in that one day or whatever the case is.
Well, serendipitously, I actually just watched a interview with Chris Paul, and he was actually kind of talking about that, just the concept of sacrifice for what he had to do as far as spending time with family and being an NBA All-Star. Mm-hmm. And you kind of understand just by watching his career which side he kind of leaned more into. But that's one of the things that he constantly thinks about as far as like, he wouldn't want to necessarily give up his NBA success and the dream that he worked so hard to kind of achieve. But also he kind of is very cognizant of the moments that he gives up with family in those kind of ways. So I think one of the points that he kind of got to that I resonated with is like, I think how you cope is like you kind of realize you don't sacrifice the one thing or the other all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's more so like a percentage or just like the fullness of it, where you just, all right, I can't be, a complete NBA superstar and just neglect my family, or I can't fully be involved with my family and then not be an NBA superstar. It's like you kind of have to, all right, well, I can be, 55 over here, 45 over here. And they're interchangeable. It's like, all right, sometimes I'm 55 NBA, 45 family. Sometimes I'm 55 family, 45 NBA. And just the sacrifice is just going to be, that 45 on that side. So I'm going to be 55 in NBA, but now there's 45 left on the table. So, I'm not going to score 30 points. I'm going to put up 15. Yeah. And et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up because that was the thing that, you know, the late great Kobe Bryant said,
Right.
you know, years ago. You know, he was like, I'm not a great father. I'm not a great dad. I'm not a great this. I'm not a great friend because I'm trying to be the best basketball player, and that is it. And he was willing, actually, out loud, I think if he was able to articulate it, I mean, I don't think anybody really can sit here and call a Kobe Bryant cap on that, right? Say, hey, you know, you were just talking that game. No, he was probably serious. Like, no, I'm at the gym all the time, so you're not finna see me. I'm not coming to this party, and I'm not spending time with whoever I need to spend time with because I'm in a gym trying to be the best basketball player. So I think really what, you know, it shows me is that, like you said, you can interchange it, and it can be 55 here, you know, 45 there. It can be 75, 25. And it's like, well, then your sacrifice must meet your expectations of what you're going to get out of whatever you're sacrificing for, right? Because if you say Kobe Bryant was, you know, okay with being a terrible father, a terrible husband, a terrible friend, but
Allegedly.
Well, I mean, he said it out of his own mouth, right? But what I'm saying is...
Maybe, but terrible to his definition, because we all have a different definition of what it all looks like.
In the lights of, he was willing to say that out loud, to say, I sacrificed that time to be the best. So I am going to score 45, 35 every single night versus somebody like Chris Paul, and he's a great player, right? But we won't sit here and compare him to Kobe Bryant in any likeness, right? He was great in his own right, but, you know, he was able to say, okay, well, I'm only going to put 55 or 60% over here versus the 95 Kobe Bryant was putting, and say, you know, so, and I think that's really the point of, like, this, you know, sacrifice. Is like, okay, how much are you willing to sacrifice in order to get the, you know, the balance of, okay, this is what I'm getting from this sacrifice, you know. It has to equal up to you, and it can be for whatever people want, you know. It can be 50-50, it can be skewed. What do you need it to do?
So, I mean, for me, it's tough. And I'm not crying a river, I'm just saying it's tough. It's tough because this is not my thing, right? I'm here strictly and mainly for a support balance. So for me, as that family member to the star, I mean, and if we just put it in that way, right? It's difficult in a lot of ways because I crave that time to spend with him, right? I crave the time for him to be like, oh, okay, well, and not so much the vacation part, but the time that we spend together. Like, oh, let's go and have a random dinner. Like, that doesn't happen, you know? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot that has to come into for that to happen. So, you know, it's hard because while I see it and I see what's going on and I understand it, I'm also kind of selfish. Like, well, why can't I? You know, why can't we? But I understand, and I show up, and I sometimes, and I do what I need to do. But even this week, you know, we haven't seen each other. I think this might be the most that we've seen each other awake, like right now, literally, real time. And I feel a difference, but like we talked this morning, I feel like we needed that. Like, we needed that. And I wouldn't say that I miss you, because I say that, hold on, let me finish it off, because it's a goal. Because it's a goal that we're trying to hit. And I realized that, you know, we talked back in January when we are looking at the schedules, and we're like, well, what can we do to do something different to bring in more money and bring in revenue? And then, you know, I told him last week, and I was like, you know, enough of this. Like, enough. Like, what do we need to do? And so that's how we have the schedule that we have now, is because I was like, look, this is crazy. Like, we're just spinning our wheels. And so while it feels a little different, I think it's working out. I think we've had a good one night.
I think so, too.
The first night, I think I cried a few times. But, you know, whatever. I think it's working out. And I think that we have the sacrifice equals the rawness and the hard times that you have to get through to get to that next level. And I think we've always babied and coddled our success or the drive towards that success because we want it to feel good. And it can't feel good. I don't think it's supposed to feel good. I think when you look at successful people who have had a rough life or have gone through trials and tribulations, when you follow their journey, it's not easy. And it may not look like what you or the three of us may have even experienced in our life. We all will say, oh, I've been through this tough time and I had to get through it. But did we really go through a tough time? Is it commensurate to what we can handle? Maybe. But I think it just has to not look good or not feel good either. Yeah. So I think sacrifice is really that raw work, that raw, intense. Nothing is in the way, no apologies made to our children, to our grandchildren, to our parents, to our loved ones that we consider close to us, whether they're family or not. I think it's the no apologetic, tongue-tied, sacrifice, no apologies.
I mean, I feel like comfort is probably one of the first things to go, within business as far as, when you're looking what's on the chopping block of sacrifice. One of my favorite quotes from Nip is, he said within, your own right, whatever you're trying to do, you're going to go through every emotion. When I heard him say that, kind of put a lot of things in perspective as far as like everything you feel, the fatigue, the anger, the angst, the happiness, the joy when certain things happen, the annoyance of when certain things happen, all of that's part of it. So I feel like I said, sacrificing just the idea of this is going to feel good the whole time. And I feel like that's a good one because I feel like once you kind of take that out of your mind, it just kind of frees you up and allows you to feel everything, kind of unbiased.
Monday. Yeah, I mean, literally, like, it's just the uncertainty of, all right, how is this going to go? I mean, as a restaurateur that we are, it's like, you don't know what's coming. And you don't know that you can necessarily respond the way you should respond, So we get to the point until there's like, the bucket's empty, there's no chicken. Reset. And we're, not that we were defeated, but it was literally, wow.
I mean, it's just part of it.
Yeah. And to get through that was a challenge just to get through that in of itself. So, I think sacrifice is not, like you said, that literal term of what people really think it is. I mean, it's really the process of what are you willing to like give up, like go without, and a lot of times it's the things that make you, like, give you the support to continue, the love and the time spent with your family. That's really what it is, in my opinion. And I mean, I think we're there, and I think we're taking that Band-Aid off slowly to really understand that that's the next level to this.
I mean, what just came to me, kind of listening to you, was just like, sacrifice is almost like the economy of success, in the way of just like, you have to pay, for certain things. Nothing is free, all energy requires some sort of process, So it's just, are you willing to participate in that economy? So I want this, well, I have to give up this to get that, I purposely give up this so I can get this over here, just that kind of dance that you're constantly doing is just, like I say, it's built into it, like I say, almost like an economy for real.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just, for me, the thought of what made me like kind of like sit down is every day, I've sacrificed where I haven't hung out with my friends in months. I think the last day I worked was probably, and maybe a week after that, I was trying to incorporate it, but I literally have given all of my time to this, and in the creation of betterness of this, right? That piece. I just think that we take for granted. I'll go back. We met someone in their restaurant, and we were talking numbers, and she was just like, "Yeah, I make no less than this figure that we're like, okay, but congrats." I give her flowers a lot, like because while she's here, because she deserves it, because literally she is in her restaurant all the time.
Yeah.
She is her media. She is her marketing. She is her connection, her gel, her glue with her team. And you can see, when they come around and how they respond to her, that it's true. That's not forged. We don't deserve that, we don't look that way. And I really truly believe that we don't get to those heights because we don't look that way. I'm not saying that we need to. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, congrats to her, because she's putting in that work. So if you pulling in about 20,000, what I think she said, a day, or I don't know. It was. Jeez. It was definitely a lot that we would probably never see, and she's just.
They hiring?
Yeah, I mean, I had
Probably
to question it myself.
You might all go back.
I definitely, before I gave her flowers in my head, I was like, what are we doing wrong? But think about her sacrifice.
Yeah. I mean, but that's it, because then you have to look at, okay, well, what has she sacrificed in totality, right? So that's really, because then you get into, and again, that's why I said people don't take that word, and because we say certain things so often, it's like what will happen is it becomes less weighted for us because we say it constantly.
So much, yeah.
And so sacrifice is a really big word. It's a really heavy word that we're just like,
it's almost intimate.
yeah, it's just whatever, sacrifice. But I mean, you look at her, you say, we asked her about her family situation. She's like, oh yeah, she has, a partner that's there, but they don't have any kids. She's a middle-aged woman, right, that doesn't have any kids. You don't know if she wants kids or wants a family, or she's like, well, I can't have a family and have $20,000 a day. You're just not going to be able to do it. Spending time with her outside family, maybe her aunts or her mom or her cousins, they don't live here, or they're sick, or things like that.
So
and
traveling gets affected.
Yeah, you don't get time to do that. And traveling is a really, really big thing, right? Because you have to think, you run in a restaurant that's kind of opposite of us, where your revenue is coming from not only people coming in, dining in, but reservations. They are putting in reservations days in advance, weeks in advance, months in advance. And they're saying, hey, we're coming with a party of 14 in 3 months. Well, you can't just be like, well, okay, we're not going to be open. You got to be there. And so there's no, oh, well, my sister wanted to go to the Bahamas or something. No, you got to be there. So, I think really you have to look at, all right, what's on it? And it's an exchange. Like you said, it's an economy. It's an exchange. It's just like you put $10, $20 on the table for somebody, and you say, okay, well, what are you going to get back when you have to register? What are they going to give you?
Right.
They're not going to give you, you can't go and say, go to the store and say, hey, this is $20. I want a BMW car. Like, they're not going to give it to you. They might give you a watch or, a picture or a chair. But, so it's like the same thing with us with time, with business. It's like, okay, what are we willing to pay to then take out this business?
I mean, I feel like it's easy to see, what other people have in that kind of way. But, I guess we always tend to overlook, what we don't see, what they don't have. And I guess that'll kind of now pose the question, like, if I'm asking you, Daquan, like, how, or what's your gauge that would make you think you might be sacrificing too much in a particular area or something like that, where it's like, I'm giving up too much over here. Maybe I need to rebalance or recalibrate.
Yeah, I mean, that's on point for right now, even for what we're going through right here, right now. you have conversations with your family, you have conversations with your spouse. I mean, Nicole is sitting right here, and we're like having a conversation. We're like, okay, there's certain things that I may not be doing or not doing, and she could feel, like I said, neglected or bad or whatever it is, or saying, well, we didn't put enough effort into doing this thing that I wanted to do, and I'm over here like, well, I didn't have the time, the money, the energy, the whatever to accomplish that for you, or put energy towards that. So, I mean, I think it goes back to the same conversation we're going to continue to have, pivoting, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like at one point, all right, we said, cool, this is what we're going to do, right? When we first got here, we said, oh, we're gonna work hard, and then we're going to take a couple days, a week off, a month, and this is just what we're going to build into our culture. And then, well, we realized, okay, well, guess what that is? That's a sacrifice on the business side. You're not going to get as much money. So you're not going to have, I mean, Nicole was like, oh, when we was at the other restaurant, we were working every single day, morning and night. We had a night crew, had a day crew, we was working every day. We had all these people, and there was no days off. And she's like, oh, we had, 10,000, 15,000 plus in an account rolling back and forth. We didn't never have to worry about anything. Anything we needed to buy, buy it. Boom, get this, pay this bill. Something came up, bam, fix it. But now we kind of have to think about it in a little bit and say, oh, well, wait.
Think about it. We got to stop.
we gotta say, okay,
the brakes is on.
We got to wait until this next, amount of money comes in or whatever. Yeah. But again, we were able to say, oh, we going here, we going there, we going there. So I think it's just, you have to just be willing to just pivot and say, okay, this isn't working. All right, how do we fix it? Don't stay in it. Continue to make, I don't want to say mistake, but don't continue to double down on where something is faltering. If you realize something is faltering, then just say, boom, something is faltering, change it.
I think for me, just like, bringing it all together, for me, it's not so much the sacrifice of my, extended family members, and not really my children. I think the burn that I feel right now is my grandchildren. That, they were like, you going to work, Grandma? Yes, I'm going to work. And that they're young, right? And they already know the deal. They already know the schedule and what we look like. And for me, I truly believe that God has prepped me to this point. Which is why I think there's more. I know there's more because I moved away from my family 14 years ago. And that burn to be a part of everything that they're going through or dealing with or having is not there. Like, I'm okay with saying no. And so I think my journey, even to getting to starting this new schedule this week is, getting out of my comfort zone and saying, look, I say I'm a support character in this whole thing, but I am one of the characters. Like, I mean, legit.
Very integral role.
Legitimately, like, I am a character, so why am I not playing my role? Why do I think that I can come up here and not be a part of whatever needs to happen and make it happen? And so I'm starting to bud and open up for that. So I just, I say to, up and coming businesses, we joke and we say people are lazy and people don't really want it. And we can never really determine what their reason for their slow up is or their catch up is. But I will say that it's not a game. And you have got to literally sit down and think about, I pray for the people who don't even have significant others that have already built their foundation. Like, they're looking for someone while they're trying to build their business. And I hate to say don't do it, but I mean, don't do it. I mean, because it's not easy. And almost you have to wonder, what is it worth to you? So, I mean, sacrifice is a part of everything.
Yeah.
I also feel like, growth is right outside of your comfort zone. It's almost like sacrifice is the fee at the door. It's just, that's how you get to that other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've done well with keeping it together, and I think, there's more. I do believe in my heart of hearts, just thinking of last week and this week, there's more. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
We got less than 1,000 days. Don't ask me the number.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Oh,
for real.
It's about 620,
And that's the sacrifice.
but it is less than
fee.
1,000.
It's
You're
less
right,
than
though.
1,000, and so thanks for
One
coming.
down.
Thanks for coming to see us today for our 12th episode of Sacrifice with 1,000 Days with Chef DQ. I'm Nicole, and we got Pat here, and we'll
Man.
see you again next week.
I never really saw anybody in media that was like,
time.
oh, like being a chef is something to be proud of. You know, being a chef is something that you can actually succeed in.